Hi everyone, it's Jen here from tarotspirit.net, and I'm here to do your May 2017 monthly tarot reading for Sagittarius. Thanks so much for joining me. Today I'm using the Mystic Dreamer Tarot. And as I was sitting here preparing for the reading, this concept of really knowing your surroundings, being connected to the earth, but sort of if you imagine where you are, where you live or where you are, and imagine a perimeter of, say, 100 miles around you. It's like, how well do you know your surroundings? How well do you know the perimeter that is 50 feet around, where you spend most of your time in your house or wherever? What about 100 yards? Sorry, I'm American, obviously, so I'm using our ridiculous system, not the metric system, but and then what about half a mile? What about a mile? What about 10 miles? Like, how well do you really know your surroundings? It's kind of just there's not really necessarily a point to this, but just it's interesting to think about that. Like, how well do you know your yard? How well do you know your road? How well do you know your neighborhood? And then also this concept of really listening, not only to what someone is saying, but what is the deeper reason for what they're saying, because they may not be articulating it, or they may feel like they can't articulate their true meaning, like especially like in the workplace. If you're sort of hurt over something, you can't really, it's not as comfortable to say, oh, that hurt my feelings. Like, people tend to say, well, make it into something beyond, well, that hurt, because that seems like it's not something professional to say. So you, as the person listening or involved in a situation, really need to ponder, what is this really about? And I think things will be easier problems, conflicts, situations will be easier to resolve, and will cause less emotions on your part if you can. It's kind of like that Stephen Covey, and I'm going to misquote it, but the concept is, when you're interacting with someone, always seeking to understand where they're coming from, what they're saying, what they're trying to get at, not sitting there trying to figure out how you can respond to prove your point and prove them wrong, or get your point across, but really trying to understand, okay, what is this person trying to tell me? And then once you have that understanding, it's almost like then you can go into problem solving mode, or have empathy, or validate them. Once you sort of step back and say, no, wait a minute, they're sort of showing me that they're angry about this, but anger is fear often projected outward. So what are they afraid of, or what's making them nervous or anxious about this situation that maybe because you're not in their shoes, you couldn't imagine in that moment. Okay, so let's get on to the reading. So at the bottom of the deck for this month of May for Sagittarius is the Page of Wands. So we love this energy. This is curiosity, feeling inspired, seeing things. It's like when you all of a sudden hear or get introduced to something and it just fires you up. You just can't learn enough. You become obsessed with it. You're passionate about it. You're inspired, and you just want to go out there and learn everything you can about it, because it just hit you in just that way. And you want to talk to people about it and explore it, and just sort of immerse yourself in the situation with all your energy. Of course, that's the issue with the fire and the fire signs, is that it's difficult to sustain that initial burst of energy, the initial passion and enthusiasm. And that's when we reach the knight and queen of this suit, what truly amazing people they are, because they have a way of maintaining that level of energy and enthusiasm, and not only with themselves, but they're such good leaders because they can also help other people maintain that level of enthusiasm. So as you start something, as excited as you are about it, make sure you pace yourself and consider the longer picture than the immediate, like, oh my God, this is so awesome, I want to learn everything about it. Don't spend too much money. Like, I think the best thing is to pace yourself. Oh, I was just to keep the deck out of the way, I was going to take that bottom. What I've started doing now, instead of putting a foundation card here, I just use the one from the bottom of the deck. So when I took this out, so I didn't have this big stack of cards in my way, the Fool is underneath it. And so these two cards are really pretty similar in energy. The Fool is a leap of faith, starting out on a new journey. It's putting one foot in front of the other and believing in themselves that they can start a new life, start off on a new path, and they're lightening their load. They're just simplifying things and wanting to start fresh. It's a very nice energy. So our central card is the Ten of Swords. This is the focus. So this card it's kind of like, the opposite of this. You start out with all this energy and excitement, and the Ten of Swords is like done. So regardless of what seemed so exciting and good at the beginning, for whatever reason, you weren't a match with someone, you weren't a match with a company, you have been in denial about something yourself, you've mentally come to a place where you're just like, I can't do this anymore. You can't ignore the problem any longer. You can't ignore the situation. You can't pretend everything's fine anymore. And it's rock bottom. So you can think of rock bottom as absolutely a breakdown, the worst place in the world, you can't go any lower. Or you can think of it as a beginning and a breakthrough. And it's like you finally got to that breaking point, and now things can finally change and improve. And they couldn't until you got to this point. So in some area of your life, you couldn't ignore a situation anymore, and you couldn't spend any more mental energy on it, any more energy, period, because you just, like, that person had just wronged you for the last time. And what's interesting about this card is I find for myself, when I get to this point, often the straw that breaks the camel's back is just a straw. It's not some giant event. Usually a couple giant events have happened with the situation or the person, but it just, for some reason, at that moment in time, with all the soul searching you've been doing, that one last thing that happens, it's just, for some reason, it just clicks in your mind, and you're like, I'm done. I can't ignore this anymore. I can't deal with this anymore. I won't deal. It's more of like, I won't deal with this anymore. I see the situation for what it is. I'm no longer mentally justifying things or in denial or just trying to worry and stress them into being okay. It's not okay. And let's call it what it is. The elephant in the room is visible. This can't happen any longer. So, I mean, a lot of people, this is in one way a negative card, but to me, kind of like the Tower, and everything, things before then were bad, whether you realized it or not. And until you get to this breaking point, let's call it a breakthrough. through, things aren't going to get better. So if you look at it from that perspective, it's, I just noticed, I was talking about the Queen and King of Wands before, and we have the King of Wands in our future. Now that Ten of Swords is crossed by the Six of Cups. So this could have something to do with children. And I'll just leave it at that. I don't know what that could be, a million things for everyone else, but really read this card as, so if there's been any nostalgia about the past, so someone coming from the past, I think we're still in Mercury retrograde, but relationships from the past, people from the past, maybe you gotten back together with an old romantic partner and it's like you realize, nope, they haven't changed. And what was I thinking? You're no longer nostalgic or remembering things as better than they were or whatever. You're seeing things very clearly. This card is really, it has, a lot of different layers and meanings, but it's, in this reading, I'm going to read it as a card of simplicity, of stopping and smelling the roses, of simplifying your life, of cutting out things that make you feel like this, of releasing those swords from yourself. These can also be negativity, negative thoughts. Swords are mental, so you could be doing this to yourself and saying, I'm no longer going to keep stabbing myself in the back or let someone else keep me down, put me down. And in some ways, you have to allow someone to put you in this situation. And so you are no longer going to allow that to happen. And you're going to simplify things and keep your thoughts more disciplined and keep it simple, focus on the positive and releasing resentment, releasing things and not carrying. I mean, this could very easily just be baggage and resentment and going over things in the past and just not being able to move forward because you just are carrying all this negative mental energy with you. And I think this is coming about, you're getting a bigger, this is the recent past, something has caused you to get a bigger perspective. I mean, sometimes you can hear about someone dying young, even if it's not someone you know, and that can really give you a good wake-up call, like, hey, life is short. There's no guarantee. There's no reason why that couldn't have happened to me. It could happen to any of us at any time. And you can say, oh, wow, Jen, that's super morbid and sad. But again, it's all how you use that. It's like, or it can be a wake-up call. Wait a minute, what the hell am I doing? I'm going through the motions. I don't really like my job. I'm exhausted when I come home or things like that. And it's like, hey, life is short. What do you want to do? What do you want out of life? So stop just going through the motions and look at things and figure out where you want to go. Make a plan, because you do only have one life and you don't know how long you have. So here, this is trying to get your this energy, this passion, enthusiasm of this Page of Wands, getting it focused, looking at the big picture. Where do I want to go? Where do I want to direct my energy? Where have I been directing it currently in my life? And how do I want to make a plan to channel that to where I want to go in the future and in the present? We have another 3 right up here. So this is a card that is like, what's the higher lesson? So here's like the underlying theme that's going on. What's the higher purpose to the situation you're going through right now? And this is sort of doing the hard work to manifest what you want in your life. And I'm going to bring already the near future card in, the King of Wands. So finding a way to maintain your level of energy and enthusiasm and passion and excitement about things so you can see them through, so you don't get stuck in a rut, so you don't get weighed down by negativity or allow other people to keep you down, so that you can channel your energy so that you live the productive life that you want to live. And this is hard work, and people are going to recognize this. You're going to realize that you're an example to other people, whether you think you are or not. Your friends, your family, if you have children, back to that children card, what example are you leading for your children? We want our kids to be productive and get out and exercise. Well, then we need to put our computers down and phones down and get up and enjoy the outside with them and be that good example. So be that good example to yourself. Make sure your tangible world is what's in your mind and I always like to say, what's on your Instagram feed is it really reflect your real life? Is it really, do they match? And it takes hard work and discipline. There's no magic potion for being motivated. People get up and run every day. My mom's a runner. At 74, she gets up and runs every day and has since she was in her 40s. She didn't start running till she was in her 40s. And she'll tell you, lots of times she doesn't want to run, but she knows she feels so good when she's running and once she's done it. So, there are many days she has to force herself to get out of bed. So don't think these people who are disciplined and lead these active, good lives or just somehow have it easier. They're disciplined and they set their alarm and they do what they say they're going to do. And that's also why these people are more confident, is because they know they can trust themselves when they make a plan to do something. And remember, the Pentacles are a slow-moving sign, so they don't expect instant gratification, and they don't give up if they have to work at something. They know that they need to make a plan, find a way to maintain that energy, and put one foot in front of the other and make it happen. So we touched upon him a couple times. Being the leader in your own life, being able to motivate yourself and maintain that motivation in your own life. That's where you're headed. That's the seed that's been planted with these other two Wands cards. And in order to do that, you've got to let go of a lot of crap and resentment and excuses and people that are holding you back and not supporting where you want to go in your life. And keeping it simple. Not cluttering our lives with all this nonsense and excuses, and learning to appreciate each moment. Oh, I haven't even really looked at these cards. They're really beautiful. I got this really great feeling. This is one of my favorite cards. So this is you in this situation. And this is beautiful. This is a person who can stand on their own. This doesn't mean you're going to be on your own, but it shows that we need to be a whole, confident person that can stand on our own first before we can be a partner, a good partner. And it's very hard to find two people that are in the same spot, but we should be striving for that. So this month is really about working on yourself, working on your own things. And so when we're looking at someone else and judging, it's like we need to take a pause and be like, do we even know the perimeter of where we live? And we're going to tell someone else how to live their life. Do we even know our neighbors? How aware of our own surroundings? And that's sort of a reflection of ourselves. How well do we know ourselves? Can we count on ourselves? Or are we going to criticize someone for not being disciplined? Are we disciplined ourselves? And again, once we have that discipline, it brings an enormous amount of confidence. And when we're confident, we will pursue things because we want to and live our lives for how we want and not worry about what other people think and doing things just so what other people think. So our Instagram will become more authentic than how we want other people to view us. Or we won't even be on our phones at all. But and the environment, it's like you draw in like-minded people or seek out like-minded people to support you. I'll use my mom again. I've used this in example in other readings, but because it's difficult to stay motivated and disciplined, it's good to have a group. So my mom has a running partner. I know when I walk, I either walk on the treadmill or walk outside. When I have a friend that comes over to go walking on the weekends, or I walk with my mom, oh my God, I don't even feel like I'm exercising. Like, you know what I mean? Or if I put a good podcast in or something. So don't be afraid you don't have to do it yourself. Or say you're trying to get more healthy, you could join like a Weight Watchers or something. So you have that support. Or if you're interested in something, you can join a group to find like-minded people that will support you and be positive, because you don't want to be around anything that makes you feel like this, and you want to release those judgments that you may be putting in those knives you may be putting in your own back. So a very supportive energy. It's like once you start to live more authentically and allow that energy in, you find yourself more confident, surrounded by like-minded people, and coming into balance, feeling more balanced and being able to maintain. I mean, nothing's ever in perfect balance for all the time. It's a balancing act. That's what, you know what I mean? It's a give and take, a give and take, and give and take. So don't get down on yourself if you don't feel balanced all the time. But this can help you be pretty close to center, to being centered. Because once you feel more confident and disciplined in what you truly want and living your thoughts and your dreams and putting them into action and worrying about yourself and trying to understand other people, things come more into balance and more peaceful. Now, I love the Eight of Cups. I do. I am a change person. I don't know if it's a Sagittarius in me. Well, I'm reading for Sag, so you guys will probably feel good about this. I'm sorry, I haven't really had this at a very good angle this whole time. But in order for this transformation, this reinventing yourself, or not even reinventing yourself, discovering your true self, uncovering your authenticity and bringing that out and living who you are. This sort of, I think, mirrors, it's like you've got to let some things go. You have to walk away. You can no longer be around people or situations that drain your energy, bring you down, mentally bring you down. No longer being codependent or blaming people, needing to blame people, taking on other people's issues, realizing that everyone has their own journey to walk and their own lessons and wisdom to gain. And so you're going to focus on your journey, and that may mean leaving some people or situations behind. And this is not in anger, in spite, if she was angry, she would have knocked those cups over and been like, screw you, kicked the cups all over the place and stormed off. And it's like, there were some good times here. I was emotionally invested and attached, but I'm going to leave those memories and those emotions, remember the good and the wisdom that came out of it, but then I'm going to move on because I have a long way to go. Look at all those emotions, all that water, all that. It's like I have all of those experiences ahead of me. n- now that I am living in this current, this changes, but now that I am discovering this authentic part of myself that I'm bringing to the surface and moving forward to have new experiences. Whew, like a spiritual awakening, but not in a, it's a real special internal one. This was a really cool reading, guys. Thank you so much for stopping by, and have a lovely month. Take care.